First and foremost, want to thank Brand Innovators for having us. Major focus of this conversation in the next 25 minutes is really focused around how integrating your creative strategy with broader business strategy and outcomes ultimately leads to more meaningful and measurable growth. To kick us off, we're going to start with a bit of a highlight reel from one of the latest Uber Eats campaigns.
Pancake sauce, rice, scrambled sandwich, turnover.
American football is full of player names, formations, fandoms, and terminology that are all food. So this year, NFL partner Uber Eats saw the opportunity to rewrite the playbook on sponsorship marketing, to go from advertiser around the game to making the game itself into an ad for Uber Eats, turning the entire NFL season into one giant ad to sell food. How? By claiming that football is one big conspiracy.
Conspiracy to sell food.
It started with this.
Think about it. Turnovers, pancake blocks, scrambles. Oh, I just scored. Feed me more.
Then, every single week, they exposed more and more links between football and food.
I think that there's something else going on.
What?
Maybe to get people to crave cheesy pizza during football games.
The quarterback just scrambled. Koi bacon, CJ ham.
Fans got involved.
How come no one is talking about this?
The exact same size as a Little Caesars pizza box.
Soon, no one could look at football without seeing food. Football, food, football, food, football, food.
Nobody's using goalposts to make you hungry for
French fries!
Every time football and new foods were connected, Uber Eats teamed up with brands to make them the deal of the week.
Crunch wrap! Crunch wrap!
I mean, who would design a whole defensive scheme just to sell
Crunch Wrap Supreme!
Turning every game day into a purchase moment. These deals even hijack the live broadcast.
Sorry, buddy, hold on. It looks like you just drew a slice of pizza. It has nothing to do with Little Caesars Pizza Buy One Get One promotion on Uber Eats this week.
Then, on football's biggest day, they showed America just how deep the conspiracy really went.
And we'll call this a pigskin. Make people crave bacon.
And everybody loves bacon.
I love bacon.
bacon.
They even turned the Super Bowl stadium into a giant Caesar salad, and then sold those on the app. And everyone ate it up, breaking all the records.
It's a ridiculously clever ad.
Uber Eats is my favorite.
I love the Uber Eats ad.
As their season-long ad proved, you don't just have to sponsor the game, you can change it.
All right, so first question, Georgie. To bring something like that to life, you have a creative strategy, you have partnerships, you have media execution. Can you talk to us a little about the process from insight through essentially conception and execution that led to such an integrated, successful, impactful campaign for your business?
Yeah, sorry, it's very loud. It wasn't a straightforward journey. I think actually all of our best work, when you look back on it, it feels like it was perfect and it was linear and it came together very seamlessly. But actually, when you're in the middle of it, we took a lot of different, pivots and turns. Essentially, the insight, our objective starting out was that we wanted to increase both share of wallet and share of mind with football fans. We'd been advertising at the NFL for about 4 years. And whilst we were really proud of some of the work we'd previously done, we hadn't cut through. And so the brief was very much built around building a much stronger connection with NFL fans in a way that also made them purchase more from Uber Eats. And the insight that we landed on, which was really interesting at the time, was that we use a platform called EDO, which allows you to actually track engagement at a TV commercial placement. And we found that when our ad was playing in a pod with McDonald's or competitors or other QSR brands, that it actually had higher levels of engagement than when it was playing in a pod just on its own, which just, really kind of spurred this thinking that, football, when you actually connect our brand to all the different types of food and craveability, it actually drives further craveability. And so that was the insight that led the process. And then obviously we had an amazing creative team and strategy team who brought the idea to life and landed the idea.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about how you have that insight. You have essentially the insight of partnership here is a 1 + 1 = 3, not competitive. How do you then take that and manifest what ultimately we saw?
Yeah, so to Georgie's point, it was a brilliant brief, which always helps. But we kind of, combined the idea that we had to do something that really broke through. We had cravings, was also a word Georgie's team gave us, and this wonderful insight about when an Uber Eats ad is in with McDonald's, it sees this uplift engagement. And we kind of started really at the top. We were like, okay, well, which are the brands that really do break through in the NFL more than anything? And what we found was that the two obviously biggest NFL sponsors are Nike and Gatorade. And what really makes them stand apart is they're not just sponsors in and around the advertising, they're actually in the game. Nike has obviously their logos on all the uniforms and kit. And then Gatorade's all over the sidelines, all over kind of the bottles, the drinks, everything. So we were like, we need to find a way to get Uber Eats into the very architecture of the NFL, not just be an ad.
Into the action.
Exactly. It needs to be in the game, not just on the game, was what we kind of talked about. The second thing was we talked about this cravings piece and the insight about what happened when Uber Eats is on ad break with McDonald's. And what was really interesting to us is we then did like some deep dives in TikTok, and we looked at what people were talking about in cravings and how people kind of thought about cravings and what we saw the patterns there. And the strategy, which was very simple, was cravings are actually very irrational, subliminal. We see things we don't even know we've seen them, and it makes us want something. And I always like to give my kind of slightly off-kilter quote of The Silence of the Lambs, where he talks about that a lot. But it's true. It's like we kind of crave what we don't even know we see, but we see every day. And when we put that all together and we talked to the creatives, and we just had the simple strategy of like, whatever you're irrationally craving, Uber Eats can get it from in the NFL. They took the amazing leap into the NFL is actually full of food. And you could see how the whole thing kind of perfectly came together. And what was so lovely about it is when you re-look at that first presentation we did, so much of the thinking and the ideas and the creative kind of connections they made are in that case study today. Like from the get-go, you kind of knew that there was something really big there.
Okay, so taking a bit of a next step, cravings an important part of like the concept, the insight that came out of it. Ultimately, you're going from cravings to conversions. Talk a little bit about how you think of campaign success, how you broadcast that to your constituents within Uber Eats, and then ultimately, how did you measure and dissect the different components of the execution from the media, the creative, the partnership? Talk a little bit about what success looks like, and then how did you ultimately report that back out?
So when we entered into the NFL campaign, we were very clear that it needed to drive both brand and business. And doing that is actually really hard. A lot of the work that you see on TV these days, it is trying to drive sales, isn't always the most elevated work. And so we thought about the campaign architecture in what about this campaign will shape how you feel about the brand, and what about this campaign will shape how you interact with the brand, you know, what will actually make you open the app. And that's why we got to the point of we needed kind of like brand anthem spots that explained the idea, and then very hardworking retail spots that landed the deals. We felt that if we tried to do both within one spot, you would really dilute the actual executions, which I think is true. So for us, it was, drive both the brand and the business. From a brand perspective, when we look at, was it successful? We're obviously looking at a lot of short-term and long-term metrics to measure that, but also we've just got our ear to the ground. One of the things that we're always trying to get a handle on is how are fans in the moment reacting to and resonating with the work? Do people actually genuinely like it? When the ad comes on, do people want to watch it, or do they want to, get up and go to the bathroom, or, get on Facebook or TikTok? And we found that it was really, striking a chord. Obviously, conversion is much easier to measure because we're showing a deal in real time, and you could literally see the spikes in sessions that happen, not just for the merchants that we were promoting, but for the app generally.